I've asked the Chief of Staff to send word to all appointees to ensure that they declare their assets by the end of the first quarter of this year, that is by 31st March 2025.
7MTV New Vision.
Omanpeni John Mahama declared the personal assets at the Ashe Auditor General and Sir Honorable Johnson Asiedu say ebano ejapadia hodro Omanpeni ewo say ban the financial statements and as the bank account hodro wonyina odi nyina akọ Auditor General and Sir Archer said that chibi say kopiem say ebo no kwedu say watam ejapadia bi aka ejapadia ho a womo ehwehwemu no be sampa no kra ejapadia oba no kitadada na so ba ye na say aba abefa ejapade no ede akanede ho na omanpani achi anamontu awatui ne appointees ana asrofo yi wo mu nyina ehwe sa anamontu yi so na wo mu ndi echire na ansa na march bosome ebekwa wie no appointees nyina enhwe se wo mu so ede wo mu personal assets ebeba abehye Auditor General insa.
I was just looking at the statute on assets declaration. And under Article 286 of the 1992 Constitution, it names the President, the Vice President, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament, and judges. And then again under Act 550, Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets, it includes public officers, including those in the civil service, public corporations, and statutory boards. Then it also includes chief executives of all public corporations. It includes district chief executives and then members of the Council of State. There are many people in public office who do not know that they are covered under this assets declaration regime. And so, Auditor General, there must be a reminder to all these people that they are covered under the assets declaration regime. And so I have presented mine this morning, and let me make a few remarks. Senior government officials present, the Auditor General and staff of your department, we're very happy to have you here this morning at the presidency. Friends of the media, I've just performed a simple but brief, very important act of presenting my completed assets declaration forms to the Auditor General as required by Article 286 of the 1992 Constitution and the Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets and Disqualifications Act 1998, Act 550. Ghana's assets declaration regime and its related activities have often been shrouded in secrecy, and only unless in special circumstances, compliance is often difficult to measure. In times past, I would privately have presented these forms to the Auditor General in fulfillment of my statutory obligation. I've taken this step of presenting these forms publicly as a way of injecting some openness and transparency into the process of assets declaration. I've always maintained that while it is all well and good to punish corruption, a more effective way of addressing the canker is preventing it from occurring in the first place. I honestly believe that if properly curated and enforced, the assets declaration process can become a sustainable tool for tackling corruption. Corruption by nature is insidious and thrives under the cover of darkness. The more light that is shown on it, the more likely that it will be fought successfully. I've also taken this step to send an unmistakable signal to all public office holders, especially those that I have appointed, that I take the declaration of assets very seriously and expect full compliance from them. I've asked the Chief of Staff to send word to all appointees to ensure that they declare their assets by the end of the first quarter of this year, that is by 31st March 2025. I wish to stress that any appointee failing to meet this deadline would face severe sanctions, not excluding removal from office. Even as we strive to hold past government officials accountable for their stewardship, I deem it even more imperative to enforce anti-corruption among our present public office holders. Charity, they say, begins at home. I'm therefore determined to take the necessary steps to ensure that we fight corruption vigorously so that the precious little resources that have been entrusted to us by the Ghanaian people are used only in their interest. There have been issues raised about the effectiveness of the current assets declaration regime. We must take advantage of the current constitution review process to strengthen the assets declaration regime to make it more relevant to changing times. I believe that we must move to a regime where the assets so declared can be published before and after public office, so that the phenomenon of unexplained and overnight wealth obviously earned through the proceeds of corruption can be checked. I trust that a healthy debate can be had over this issue and consensus built on the way forward, so that collectively we can defeat the unwholesome canker of corruption. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
We echi and our auditor general so echere so mampeni enkasa yimu o kire say the constitution mu no e was say sisan ne makakra bi e wo mesan say obi de the personal asset e ba bonten so ana say o declare the personal assets e de to auditor general enima ehwehwe mu ben pa na wase wo mu eye ana say kwan ben e na wo mu e be hu se no kre 10 bank account e na wo ana say 3 bank account e na nipa ne kire so wa no kre ben and a woman's constitution, there was a woman a na woman as a sign, never a crabby, our constitution.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I thought that once the head of state and His Excellency has spoken, that would have ended everything. But I thank you also for the permission to give 1 or 2 remarks. And indeed, the remark goes directly in line with what His Excellency said. Because at our end there, we receive your form, just like His Excellency has done. You don't seal it. We are going to open it to see exactly what entries you have made. But when we are looking at it, what we are looking at is whether you have not left any blank spaces, whether you have not left your bank balances. Some may list all the banks that they have, but there will be no balances at it, and we will call you to come and redo it. That's the extent to which we do this. If you say you have 10 bank accounts and you bring it to us, how are we to be sure that indeed it is only 10 bank accounts that you have? If you say you have 2 buildings, what can we do to ensure that it is exactly the 2 buildings that you have? So reviewing the Constitution, as His Excellency has said, I think it's a very, very important issue that we have to take seriously. And we also support the publishing. If you submit your assets and declaration forms, we should be able to publish it freely. And the time that you are leaving office too, we will publish it to see the changes that you have happened ever since you started the new office. So on behalf of myself and my staff from the Audit Service, we welcome His Excellency's wonderful idea, and whatever we can do to support, we will do. Thank you so much.
Major de say appointees a who don't na sa brede obi a hyase e boaboa no hesan say afe 2018-2022 mu honom na beto abonten so say abro na omampeni na na adodan kwakufo adro e wa abem mu no ne ministers no mu bi beye bako 18 womo and declare womo personal assets a womo efa womo ho ediye na so hwese ni John Mahama e kire say March bosumi kwawiye na we appointee one fa wo na personal assets amba bonten so anas one fa amba to auditor general enima resign for edwuma ne to ho na edwuma crop so wo kokoye cause oba na no so the full vim e ba abetan lechi ama moye edwuma de a make sure say we do personal assets ebeko akote auditor general enim we do adwenkyere ebeto comment section ne afoforo ache say aso sa personal assets declaration ehun hia anase ehun hia anase sanka ewe se ye ma wo mo ede ba bonten so ansa na ye de wo positions no e de ahye wo mo nsa esan se wo ba no wa be declare personal assets a se na dodo na covet na bisa wo mo nsem ejapade ahen na wo ekopiem San George mo na ewe mu nyina ye kire se o je se is lego na asase a na dan bi kure wo ho no wa tro wo ne yire anani stadium wo mu nyina vetinase ebi mu ansa e nti personal assets baby fa adwenkyere Fatu comment section ne afoforo anche mamenka wo se 7MTV network esu eni ensema hodwa ekoba titiw ne amanyosem meboaboa no de aba abesomo abotie bedwumedi esome no ekase parliament wo mo akọ asetena wo mo ebobo nsem ahodo a efa oman Ghana eho ye de aso ene eni edi wo mo nsem no echi ne ebenyina ye de ba abesomo abotie bedwumedi eso home safe trust gate wo mo time echi ye pa wo mo ebo mechi dom wo mo sisi dan ema Ghana fo wo mo ewo amonana nintino frɛ number no na eno wo mo entwetwe nkomo Congo's Records and Nyama Foundation time echi abribia medin edinana ya anyamechem da wase sawoje bre ehwe dwumedi makraw
7MTV New Vision.